Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Monday edition of our show. I'm your host, Joe Grad. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by as we are heading closer and closer to first pitch against the Texas Rangers as the A's are back in the friendly confines of Sutter Health Park to kick off a 4-game set against their AL West rival Rangers. But before we get to all of that, the A's are in their New York groove as they are fresh off back home, like we mentioned, after their East Coast swing, capping off a 5-1 New York road trip, taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. Then over the weekend, they complete the 3-game sweep of the New York Mets. We're going to dive in and discuss how the 3 games went down over this past weekend before we transition to providing you a preview of this 4-game set, again set to start tonight, 6:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time first pitch. We got a good pitching matchup. In fact, we've got 4 pretty good pitching matchups lined up in this series, so plenty to unpack there. In addition, if you were unaware, Brent Rooker did get injured during the New York Yankees series. He took a swing, he injured his oblique, and he is now headed to the 10-day injured list. We'll take a look at how long we can expect his timeline to be until we see Rooker back in the starting lineup. And over the weekend, we were treated to a new home run celebration where they give kudos to the elephant to Stomper, the elephant that the A's have so called endeared, their mascot. We will discuss what that looks like, perhaps some joy there, a little bit of terror, and a little bit in between. The boys are having fun. Vibes are immaculate for the A's, and we're excited to talk all about what's been going on and what's to come. Holy Toledo, let's go A's. All right there, A's Day fans. Thank you again for tuning in to today's show. Appreciate you stopping by to hearing our thoughts on everything A's baseball. Just as a friendly reminder, be sure to check us out on our audio podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Hopefully by now, A's Day is in your regular rotation. But for all of our newer listeners as well, be sure to check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, so many more that continue to pop up wherever you can listen to an audio podcast. More than likely, you'll be able to listen to A's Day as well, so appreciate your continued support. In addition, check out all of our A's content on our social media platforms on Instagram at A's Day Baseball Podcast, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at A's Day Baseball, and be sure to check out our YouTube channel for video editions of these episodes, as well as A's player interviews and other A's baseball destination content experiences that we have posted and will continue to create throughout this season and for seasons to come. And be sure to become an official subscriber of A's Day on our Patreon site, patreon.com/A's Day for just $2 a month. You'll be entered to win monthly A's Day t-shirts, A's autographed memorabilia, future A's game tickets, and so much more as we are able to grow this platform collaboratively. All right, let's dive on in and let's get right to the Mets series recap as we are going to wind it back to Friday night in Queens. Game 1 features JT Ginn taking the mound in a spot start going up against Clay Holmes. Heading into this one, the A's were riding high after taking the last 2 of the 3-game set against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, now looking to finish their East Coast road trip by taking care of the National League New York team. We would trade zeros in this one through the first 2 frames. Let's take this one to the third, as it would be the A's getting the scoring started in this one. With 2 on and 2 out, Shea Langoliers comes through with an RBI single, bringing home Carlos Cortez and grabbing the early 1-0 lead. Ginn would finish a solid 4 innings of work in a spot start, 4 innings pitched, 1 hit allowed, no runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. On would come Mark Leiter Jr., who would pitch a clean 5th, hoping to shake off some of those early season struggles. This game would stay a pitching and defense type into the 6th. Unfortunately for the Mets, after allowing a single to Jacob Wilson, Clay Holmes would be pulled with an apparent arm injury, and on would be relieved by Tobias Myers. Jack Perkins would come on to make his season debut after his recent call-up from AAA Vegas in the bottom half, and pitched brilliantly. 2 1/3 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. We would take this game to the ninth. Still 1-0. A's looking for some insurance, and they finally get it. How about the former Met Jeff McNeil coming through with an RBI single, bringing home Jacob Wilson to increase the lead to 2. And then just for good measure, Denzel Clark would come through with a 2-run single to give the A's the 4-0 lead. It would go Ginn to Leiter Jr., to Perkins, to Barlow, to Alvarado, who closes this one out. Ball game over. A's take game 1 in Queens, 4-0. So just shout out to the A's pitching staff. I feel like especially this week, they're really finding their own. Pitching in a lot of these tight pitching and defense type atmospheres and really rising to the occasion, matching their opponents and giving their offense every opportunity to continue to put at-bats together, pass it to the baton, and eventually the offense would break through here late in the ninth. But without the foundation set by this A's pitching staff in this one, A's don't have a shot. And just want to give them huge kudos here. I think JT Ginn is just someone that is an absolute competitor, and we've seen him kick off the year out of the bullpen, already being summoned to make a spot start due to some ineffectiveness by Luis Morales, who was optioned to AAA to get his mechanics right, help him find his command again. And we'll see Morales again sometime this year for sure. But until then, they are going to have some other guys step up, and Ginn did a great job starting to continue to build that trust. Goes 4 innings in this one, and I'm sure the comparator in him wanted to go longer, but he's built up as a long reliever right now, not necessarily as a starter. But I thought he was solid in this one from start to finish. He just attacks, and he lets his defense go to work behind him, which we'll talk about the A's defense at the end of this series recap. But they've been magnificent themselves, and it's really allowing the pitchers to not feel like they have to strike every batter out, that they know they can trust the guys behind them to make the plays so they can pitch to more pitcher-friendly locations and not necessarily just try to strike everyone out, because sometimes that'll lead to some overthrowing and missing in some hitter-friendly zones and perhaps seeing some of those inflated offensive performances by the opponent rear its ugly head against the A's. But haven't been seeing that of late, without a doubt. This has been great. And seeing how the A's continue to fight all throughout the game, and really important key insurance runs in that ninth inning. And it's all, the table is set there in the ninth by Jeff McNeil, who comes through in an emotional night for him in his first game back in Citi Field since he had been traded from the New York Mets. It's the only franchise he ever known in his pretty long career there in Queens. So I'm sure there were a lot of emotions racing through his head. They had a nice tribute to him before his first at bat. They had a video tribute for him and Luis Severino as well during his season in the Bronx, or with the Mets as well. Sevy, after his time with the Yankees, he went to the Mets before coming to the A's. But McNeil was the longtime Met that it seemed like him getting traded caught him a little bit off guard, that he wasn't necessarily thinking that he would be moving on from the Mets following last season, but seems to be very happy with where he's at now, and definitely always a good thing to be able to come back and be able to stick it to your old team and show them what you could have had. And he increases the lead to 2-0 there. And then Denzel Clark seems like he's having better and better at-bats. He comes through with 2 more and really takes the pressure off that pitching staff to be able to just go to work, throw strikes. And Alvarado did a good job being really efficient in the ninth there. So with that, they become the first team ever to shut out New York teams on back-to-back nights. How about that? No one's ever done that before. One Thursday night in New York, in the Bronx, and then Friday night in Queens, back-to-back shutouts. Did tons of research into it, and yeah, it seems like that holds true, that no other team has ever been able to do that. So definitely some impressive stuff there, without a doubt. And Jeff McNeil, yeah, tip of the cap to him. And he was our homer pick for this weekend, just to see, you could see how players, when they go up against their previous teams, usually come back in a big way. He had his fingerprints all over this game, and in fact, all over this weekend, and we'll get to that now as the A's look to continue to keep on rolling into the Saturday contest in Queens. Jacob Lopez going up against Kodai Senga, looking to secure the road series victory, and in fact looking to clinch an East Coast series victory or winning record without a doubt. In this one, Tyler Soderstrom would hit his first 2 home runs on the season and drive in 5 runs as the A's roughed up Kodai Senga for his worst MLB career start ever in an 11-6 victory over the struggling New York Mets. Carlos Cortez launched a 3-run shot for the A's, who have won 4 straight games at this point, 2 apiece against the Yankees and the Mets in New York. Senga gave up 7 runs over 2 2/3 innings in the worst outing of his career. He allowed 5 runs 3 times in his first 54 regular season starts. With slugger Juan Soto on the injured list, the Mets have been outscored 29-9 during a 4-game skid that's followed a 4-game winning streak at this point. Soderstrom launched a 2-run home run in the third before Cortez chased Senga with his 3-run drive. New York would cut a 6-run deficit to 7-6 with home runs from Bo Bichette, Francisco Alvarez, and Jorge Polanco, but the Athletics scored 4 runs off reliever Luke Weaver in the 8th when Shea Langoliers hit an RBI single and Soderstrom sent a 3-run shot to right field for his 5th career 2-homer game. Denzel Clark and Lawrence Butler had second-inning RBIs for the A's. Jeff McNeil, who spent his first 8 seasons with the Mets, had 3 hits and at this point improved to 5 for 9 against his former team at Citi Field. McNeil has at least 2 hits in each of the 4 games he's played in New York after failing to record a multi-hit game in any of his first 6 starts to kick off the year. Left-handed pitcher Jacob Lopez allowed 5 runs in 5+ innings for the win. Bichette and Polanco both hit their first homer for the Mets. Bichette finished with 3 RBIs and Brett Beatty had a pinch hit sacrifice fly. Alvarez went deep in the 6th. Clark nearly robbed him at the center field fence, but the ball glanced off his glove. It went Lopez to Kunal to Sterner to Leiter Jr. to Medina on their way to the 11-6 victory this past Saturday night, securing the series victory and securing a winning New York road trip. Impressive stuff from this collective. I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things and just see how this schedule was set up, it was set up for the A's to get off out of the gate with more failure than not, I would say. And, kicking off the season with the 3-game set against the defending American League champs in Toronto before heading down to Atlanta, then getting to go back home for a brief 3-game series before then going back to the East Coast, seemed like the stack was really growing against the A's to kick off this year, at least through their first 15 games, and they have truly answered the bell. After this game, they improved to 7-7 on the season, and after a tough 0-4 and a 1-5 start, they are well on their way to finding their feet on this 2026 campaign. This has truly been a collective effort all this week. You can see it. The team chemistry with this unit seems to be coming closer and closer. You're seeing all of the aspects of what this A's team was hoping to improve upon this past year, heading into this year. You're seeing better timely pitching. You're seeing more consistent timely hitting. Even though you're still waiting for some of these bigger guys in the lineup to get it going, you're seeing a lot of these key guys now starting to come through more with runners in scoring position. The more at-bats they get, I mean, we're only 14, 15 games into the season at this point, the better that they are going to be. And you're seeing the traffic that was starting to get generated early in the season. Now the A's are starting to cash in. So it's good to see that positive progression there. Jacob Lopez, he was solid in this one through 5. And I know Katse was trying to save his bullpen perhaps a few more bullets to try to get through that 6th inning. But you could see Lopez was kind of laboring towards the end of that 5th. He did get through it just fine. I'm not going to kill him for leaving him out there for that 6th, because obviously if he didn't give up those home runs and got through it clean, we would be talking about how great of a move that was. Obviously, he goes on to give up the home run to Alvarez, and it seemed like right before that was the end of the line. So nevertheless, I think the line won't show, I think, how good of a tone that Lopez set in this one. Definitely far from his finest performance by any means, but I think good enough at the end of the day, especially when in this one the offense was supporting the pitching staff. And that's what you love to see, is this team starting to find different ways to win as compared to trying to find one perfect model to win night in and night out, because every game is going to present a different challenge, and it seems like the A's are finding different ways to answer those bells. Tyler Soderstrom, he hits his first 2 home runs of the season and they couldn't have come at a more ideal time. He gets two home runs. He goes 3 for 5 day, 5 RBIs, and they end up winning by 5. So that ends up being the offensive difference here. And you could see that they got out to a strong start. It seemed like it was the knockout blow early, but then 7-6, the Mets start clawing all the way back. You kind of started to feel that pressure mounting, that if the A's weren't able to put together one more inning, that would allow to keep the door open for the Mets to complete that comeback. And perhaps if things would have shaken a little bit differently and the Mets did come back in that game, could have perhaps shaken the way this series ended up navigating. Perhaps it could have flipped the outcome on its head. But it was good that the A's held strong and didn't panic, even though they saw their deficit shrink from 6 to 1 rather quickly, in my opinion. But then Soderstrom comes through later with that blast. They end up winning 11-6. And Luis Medina was really throwing the ball effortlessly. I really liked how he's been throwing since his return from injury. And I know they're slow playing him. They don't want to overuse him, especially early in the year. But it even caught the attention of manager Mark Kotsay, where he understood that it was a 5-run lead that they had when Medina came into this one in the 9th. But still that the stuff looked free and easy. And he even stated that we should expect to see Medina more and more as the season rolls along. So that's an exciting development to see if this is the version of Medina that we are going to get, that is just going to lengthen out the depth in this A's bullpen even more. With the series secured, it would be time to see if the A's can finish this East Coast trip in style and sweep the Metropolitans, as Aaron Savali would be getting the ball going up against Freddie Peralta. Indeed, a pitching duel would ensue. In fact, we fast forward to the 3rd, and how about Nick Kurtz, the big Amish, depositing a solo shot for his first home run on the year to grab the 1-0 lead. And from there, yeah, that's right, this recap's going to be short for Game 3. It would stand. It would go Savali, who was brilliant, 5 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, no runs, no walks, 3 Ks, to Harris, to Barlow, to Alvarado, to Kunal, who secured his 2nd save of the season. Ball game over. A's win yesterday 1-0. They sweep the New York Mets in Citi Field and head back home in preparation to kick off their first longer homestand of the new season. So just want to clap it up. A's heck of a performance this weekend, and they got contributions up and down this roster. But how about Aaron Savali? And coming in, I'm going to be completely honest from our perspective, I didn't know how much this free agent deal this past offseason was going to really move the needle for this A's club in 2026. And upon review, I remember, saying that he was someone that he's a reliable veteran, but at this stage in career, I don't know how effective and how long he would be for this rotation. Well, how about this? It's either him or Springs that have been the A's best starter. This is probably perhaps the best $6 million that the A's have spent on their pitching in quite some time. This is really panning out to be a free agent steal so far through his 3 starts. He's been absolutely money. He's been coming. He should be 3-0 to be completely honest with how he started, but the bullpen couldn't hold it up in his 2nd start. But nevertheless, it's never here. It's neither here or there. Savali is here now. He puts up another quality start. I don't know if they actually ended up giving him an official quality. I think you have to go 6 innings to officially qualify for that, but in my book, it was. He was solid. He was an out away from completing 6 full innings of work, kept the Mets off the board, let his defense work behind him, and the bullpen went to work from there as well. And how about Joel Kunal? Just stepping up, answering the bell, getting saves, locking down saves in both New York stadiums, where last week he was pitching out of the Las Vegas Aviators bullpen. So shout out to him. Nick Kurtz, the big Amish, he finally gets on the board with his first home run of 2026. I'm sure, even though they're only 15 games in, it had to feel like a huge weight lifted off of his shoulders. Don't be surprised with the swing that Kurtz got on that one. It was right center. It looked like he was locked in right on it. Don't be surprised if you see a big power surge coming from the big Amish over the next week or so. And he was the sole offense in this one in terms of landing on the scoreboard. He had an absolute shot to right center off Peralta in that 3rd inning, and it held up. And with the 1-0 victory, that completed their third shutout of this past week and completed a 5-1 road trip in New York. How about that? And in fact, through 8 innings in Game 1 of the New York Yankees series, they were, 4 outs away. Yeah, they were 4 outs away from sweeping the Yankees as well. So that's just really hats off to how well this A's team has played this past week on the road. Seems like they finally got some momentum built up, and it finally feels like they have their legs in this new season. Welcome to the 2026 season, A's. I know the chips were stacked against you. Tough schedule kicking out of the gate. And with the heightened expectations coming into this year, I'm sure as disheartening as it was for us watching the A's get off to that tough 1-5 start, I'm sure in that clubhouse they hold themselves to a higher standard. And why? Well, look what they just completed on tape in between the lines this past week. Beating 2 quality opponents, going 5-1 away from home, 2 tough environments, 2 tough teams, and getting the job done as a collective. With that, it's a total team effort. Got to be impressed. And now they've got the league's attention. They're not just the same old A's anymore. And they are still a young team that is still finding its way, still finding its plate discipline. But let me tell you, they're fielding the ball a whole lot better. You know how I was talking about heading into this year, they got to have, as a young team, the fundamentals down pat. You got to improve your plate discipline, be more selective so you don't give in to pitchers' pitches, and you're able to connect at bats more consistently. I think they were a little bit more up and down with that last year. Even with all the offensive onslaught, there was a lot of waves where it was either really hot or either really cold. And this year, it kind of seems like they haven't necessarily had that full breakout yet, but I've been impressed with the improvement of the quality of at-bats and how these guys are coming through with timely hits with runners in scoring position. And you're seeing a lot of that consistent return with coming through runners in scoring position with 2 outs. So being able to just lock into those key crucial situations that could be really backbreaking outcomes for the opponent, coming through and really having that final knockout blow instead of letting these teams hang around and come back after you build all of that good fortune with an early lead or whenever you build the lead. It's important to be able to sustain those and withstand the opposition's return attack because they're going to keep coming and coming all the way until that 27th out. And I've really loved how confident this team seems, how tall they stand in the face of adversity. And it doesn't matter who they're going up against. They feel they have the unit in-house to be able to go up against anyone. So really impressed. I was really impressed. I think this is going to be, I said during that Yankee series, I'm going to say it again, star this week. If we're talking about a large amount of successes for this A's team in 2026, mark this past New York road trip as where it all began, where this team found its identity. And I feel like this team has really grown, as close as they already were, I feel like they've already grown even closer and tighter knit, and winning really helps foster those relationships to an even more positive heights. But really excited with how this road trip went. We're excited that, and we want to take it with a grain of salt. If this was an August road trip or perhaps even September, I think our excitement level would be through the roof because we feel like that type of effort would be setting themselves up to be going on a postseason run. But hey, they're getting tested early right out of the gate. And guess what? 15 games in, I'm sure a lot of people expected this A's team to be somewhere around 4-11, maybe even worse, just because of the opponents, the gauntlet that they've had to go through. I'll tell you what, they are 8-7, and they are tied for first place in the American League West with their next opponent, who we are going to preview shortly as a matter of fact. But before we get to all of that, let's talk about our 3 stars of this series. And for our 3rd star, we're going to give it to former New York Met, now green and gold second baseman Jeff McNeil. He had his fingerprints all over this series. He went 6 for 13 with 2 doubles and an RBI. He was a catalyst in setting up some important offensive rallies, played some good defense, and in that first game, he led a key insurance 3-run inning rally in that 9th inning to help the A's secure that 4-0 victory on Friday night. Our 2nd star, we are going to give it to Tyler Soderstrom, who went 3 for 12 in the series, but he had 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. That damage was done in the Saturday game. Very crucial for the A's securing that 11-6 victory on their way to at least securing at the time the series victory. But if you fast forward to Sunday, they would go on to, as you know now, complete the 3-game sweep. So our second star goes to Celly, who seems to really be heating up over this last week or so. And the first star, we were just so impressed with multiple pitching performances. We're just giving it to the A's pitching staff as a collective. How about this? 27 innings pitched, 6 runs, 10 hits, 6 walks, 25 Ks, pitching to a 2 ERA. How about that? Remember when this team, they were regarded as a team that would be able to throw the pill? Look at them now. 2 ERA, shutting down the Mets, and then they really, really held a New York Yankees team at bay early in this week. I almost want to give them the first star for the week, but we're not going to do that. We're taking it series by series as we normally do, but huge kudos to the multitude of arms that have stepped up in this A's pitching staff. And hats off to the coaching staff that's really developed this unit to pitching with better command, pitching with more confidence. And then how about the defense behind them? Allowing this pitching staff to settle in and not feel the need to have to strike everyone out. That was the identity of this team last year, where it felt like there was a little bit of a mistrust between the pitching staff and the A's infield defense, that the defense wasn't getting it done, and feeling like putting that just enough of a hint of a doubt in a lot of these A's pitchers where they feel like they couldn't throw as free and easy as they would like. Well, this year thus far has been a completely different story. The A's, in fact, have committed the least amount of errors as a unit in all of baseball. They've only made 4 errors through 15 games. So talk about a big swing there. But that brings us to the conclusion of our Mets series recap, as once again the A's completed the 3-game series sweep of the New York Metropolitans, improving to 8-7 and are in a tie for first place at 8-7 in the American League West with the Texas Rangers. Before we get to our Texas Rangers series preview, just wanted to give an update on first some more fun from this weekend, and then one little note of we'll call a little note of negativity, just because this is one of the heart and soul of this A's unit that is going to be out of commission for quite some time, and then we'll continue on from there. So we were treated to the A's new home run celebration, and if you aren't accustomed to that, a lot of teams over the last few years have created, it's usually changed on a year-to-year basis, some sort of home run celebration where they'll have a mask, a hat, a chain, whatever, in the dugout, and when the guy that hits the home run comes back in, the team celebrates as a unit in the dugout, and that's just become an endearing tradition all across the league. So for the A's, a mysterious giant gold chain featuring the head of an elephant sat at the locker of Luis Severino earlier this week, piquing the curiosity of several athletics players who walked into the visiting clubhouse at Yankee Stadium. Turns out Severino ordered the chain and had it delivered on Tuesday for the start of his 6-game road trip against the 2 New York teams. The chain was supposed to be the team's new home run celebration, but the problem was that the A's had gone homerless over the first 4 games of the trip, leaving the chain mostly untouched and collecting dust. During Saturday's 11-6 victory over the Mets at Citi Field, the A's finally debuted their new homer celebration for 2026. After Tyler Soderstrom clobbered a 2-run blast off Kodai Senga in the third, the first of his 2 big flies on the afternoon, and returned to the dugout, Lawrence Butler draped the chain around Soderstrom's neck. But there was more to his celebration. As Soderstrom made his way through the high-five line with teammates inside the dugout, he stopped towards the end of the bench in front of Severino, who pulled out a black leather elephant mask, complete with a trunk and tusks, and placed it over Soderstrom's head, completing the chain and mask combo that will be awarded to all homering A's players going forward. Later in the inning, Carlos Cortez launched a StatCast projected 406-foot, 3-run shot to right center. Upon returning to the dugout, he pulled the mask down on his head from Severino, who appeared to be making elephant noises, much to the delight of teammates and coaches. Cortez said with a laugh, "I was going a little too crazy with it on. I was having trouble breathing for a second." That's hilarious. The chain and the mask appeared to be an ode to A's mascot Stomper, the big and jolly elephant who roams the stands during A's home games. This elephant, however, looks a bit more menacing, some could say terrifying, with its dark green eyes. Nonetheless, the mask is a unanimous hit inside the A's clubhouse. I told you, vibes are immaculate in that locker room. This team, they're young, they're gritty, but they're having fun doing it as well. They want to win every night. They want to win for each other, and they're getting in on the fun of the home run Cellys. And why not? And it's nice that they pay a homage to Stomper, and you can see that they have the Stomper chain with the leather elephant mask attached to the end of that chain. And I'm sure with how big of a hit it was over this past weekend with Soderstrom and Cortez and the Big Amish getting in on that fun, now it's going to entice some more guys to want to get on the home run board to get in on the fun. But you can see these guys are having a blast, and glad that they're doing it as a collective unit, doing it for one another, and looking forward to seeing how this tracks over the course of this year. Just love that they're continuing to form and shape their identity as a team. It seemed like last year they were kind of caught in a rock between a hard place, looking to find their footing in their new home and kind of determine where they were at as a franchise. Still this young ascending team, still caught in between. It seemed like they showed flashes of brilliance at times, and obviously we're not going to talk about it anymore, but that really bad 3-week stretch last year where they looked like the worst team in baseball. So now they had to find their way somewhere in between. But now I feel like this New York road trip has really defined who this A's team. They're gritty. They're going to play as a collective. They're going to fight till the 27th out. And now they've got a significant shown early. At least the early signs are showing that they are vastly improved on the mound and vastly improved defensively as well. And now when you put those two pieces together, it takes pressure off of the offense that really carried this team last year. But you're starting to see them start to wake up out of their early season slumber and start to put it together more consistently. So we'll see how it continues to shape as they get now the opportunity to play some more home games this week. They'll be home against the Rangers and White Sox to kick off the homestand slate, and perhaps we'll be treated to more offensive prowess. Before we continue to that Rangers preview, they are going to be without one of their mainstays, their unofficial captain, their Iron Man last year, who played in all 162 games. Unfortunately, he won't be able to repeat that this year, as Brent Rooker was placed on the 10-day injured list this past Friday because of an oblique strain, ending a streak of 213 consecutive games played. Zach Geloff was recalled from AAA Las Vegas to fill the roster spot. Manager Mark Kotze didn't provide a timeline for the All-Star slugger, who did miss his first game Friday since August 15th of 2024, the last time the A's were at Citi Field. Rooker was injured while fouling off a changeup in the first inning of Thursday's 1-0 victory against the New York Yankees. On the year so far, Rooker is hitting .146 with 2 home runs and 7 of his 8 RBIs in his 3 games before Thursday. His playing streak is the club's 4th longest since 2000. It's also the longest streak for an A's player since Marcus Semien appeared in 276 straight games from June 28, 2018 to August 29, 2020. Last season, Rooker hit .262 with 30 homers and 89 RBIs when he appeared in every game and earned All-Star selection. He also took part in the Home Run Derby, hitting 17 but failing to move on to the semis. Rooker signed a $60 million 5-year contract in January 2025, a deal that could be worth up to $92 million over 6 seasons. That would take him through the 2029 season, the year after the A's are scheduled to move to Las Vegas. Oblique injuries typically take longer to recover from, with 4 to 6 weeks being the general time frame for a return. A's catcher Shea Langeliers, however, did have somewhat of a quicker recovery from a similar issue last year. The slugging backstop was placed on the 10-day injured list with a left oblique strain on June 6th of last season, began a rehab assignment on June 25th, and was activated on June 30th, missing a little over 3 weeks. Last year, Rooker became just the 5th A's player since 2000 to appear in all 162 games of a season, and the first since Marcus Semien did so back in 2019. This is the first real bout with the injury bug for the A's this year. They got through spring training relatively unscathed and entered the regular season fully healthy, but injuries are part of the game that every team has to deal with at some point. For the A's, while there is no adequate replacement for Rooker, both as a middle-of-the-order force and clubhouse presence, there is a strong belief in the position player depth that exists at AAA Las Vegas, which they tapped into on Friday by recalling Zach Geloff in a corresponding move. Geloff, who spent most of spring finishing his rehab from a dislocated left shoulder, has gone through a reinvention of sorts as he looks to recapture the form he displayed over a breakout 2023 rookie campaign. In addition to playing his usual position at second base, Geloff has expanded his versatility by playing all 3 outfield spots at AAA, where he's also swung a hot bat through his first 11 games. .366 batting average with a 1.251 OPS, 4 home runs, 3 doubles, and 10 RBIs. Geloff will not be alone in filling in for Rooker. That will likely be a collaborative effort, with the designated hitter spot likely to be a rotation of players on days the A's would like to give them a break from the field. Carlos Cortez, who started Friday as the DH, also figures to see an uptick in playing time at the corner outfield spots, especially as he continues to consistently produce. Rooker will be absent from the field for a while, but the A's expect him to remain an influential figure inside the clubhouse, where his vast knowledge of hitting can still be a valuable resource for the younger players on the team. Get well soon, Rook. You'll be sorely missed without a doubt, but I know that at least for the mentality of the game and his leadership will still be in that clubhouse on a daily basis, unless he has to go away to do any rehab, or once he does commence on his rehab assignment in the A's minor league system to be able to get at-bats to ramp back up. But that won't be for some time. Unfortunately, oblique strains really take a while to go away, and I know it's really painful for hitting. There's a lot of that twisting and corking that is very uncomfortable and does not allow, when you don't have flexibility in that area, it's a very tender and sore spot, really limits your mobility and takes quite some time to heal. Now, with Rooker being in pretty good shape for a position player and at this stage in his career, hopefully with how well Rooker typically takes care of himself, that he'll have a quicker timetable to get back into the A starting lineup. But the good news in his absence that they do have, like we mentioned, some depth at the AAA level. We'll see what Geloff provides this time around. I think we've all been waiting now for quite some time for him to stay healthy, put it together, and see if that glimpse what we were treated to back in 2023 if that was either a mirage, or when he's healthy over the course of a full season, that's who he can truly be at the major league level. So time will tell there. Can't wait for Rook to get back as soon as possible. But I think the A's are going to be all right in his absence. And because you can even see how Rooker got off to a slow start this year. But you can see his influence is still, you can see how pitchers pitch him carefully. That even if the numbers aren't translating to the success that we are treated to, again, it's such a small sample size, that you can see that he was starting to wake up out of his slumber as well. Had that big game to cap off the Astros series in walk-off fashion. You could see starting to put together better and better at-bats. This is a tough one to swallow. And I know Rooker prides himself in playing every night, so I'm sure it's killing him not being able to be in there every night with his teammates, but I'm sure they're going to pick up the slack in his absence. They're going to do him right. The unofficial captain, they're going to miss him sorely, but I'm sure they're going to play collectively for him and make sure this team is in a good place when he's ready to come back and return to his all-star form. This episode is brought to you by the Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena. Stay in the heart of downtown at Holiday Inn Sacramento Downtown Arena, ideally located near Old Sacramento Waterfront, Golden One Center, and Downtown Commons Doco. Our full-service Sacramento hotel is just 15 minutes from Sacramento International Airport and within walking distance of the California State Capitol and Safe Credit Union Convention Center. Host meetings, conferences, and social events in our flexible boardrooms and ballrooms supported by experienced on-site sales and events teams. Enjoy modern amenities including a rooftop outdoor pool, on-site fitness center, and Cypress Grill restaurant serving breakfast, dinner, and cocktails. Guest rooms and suites feature comfortable workspaces, contemporary amenities, and city views, making them ideal for both short stays and extended visits. Whether you're attending an event, planning a meeting, or exploring Sacramento dining, entertainment and cultural attractions, our downtown location keeps you close to it all. Downtown access, full-service comfort, easy booking. Stay at our downtown Sacramento hotel. All right, let's get to the back half of our show, the Texas Rangers series preview. At the time of recording, and by the time this is released, Game 1 will probably be underway, but nevertheless, let's dive in so that you know when to expect over the course of this 4-game series. 2 big road trips. Now the A's get to enjoy some home cooking for a little bit. Starting off tonight, a 4-game series at Sutter Health Park against the Texas Rangers. The Rangers coming into this series are 8-7, just like the A's, tied atop with the Green and Gold in the American League West. In their latest series, they swept a 2-game series against the Kansas City Royals, and they are led by manager Skip Schumacher. On the year thus far, offensively, they've hit it to a .233 team batting average, which is 16th in baseball. They've hit 17 home runs, which is tied for the 5th most. They scored 59 runs, which is 23rd. They've walked 47 times, which is the 4th least. And they struck out 143 times, which is the 9th most, hitting to a .684 OPS, which is the 14th highest rate across Major League Baseball. On the mound, they've pitched it solidly once again. They're pitching to a .346 ERA, which is 7th in baseball. They've allowed 47 walks, which is the 5th least. They struck out 146 batters, which was tied for 7th. And they pitched to a .122 whip, which is 9th. And defensively, they fielded to a .990 fielding percentage, which is the 5th best mark in baseball. And they've committed 5 errors, which is tied with a bunch of teams for the 2nd least, all behind the A's, like we mentioned earlier on the show, who have committed the least amount of errors in baseball, only making 4. This is how the Rangers, now I'm sure throughout the series they'll tweak this lineup. You'll see some more bench pieces here as well. But this is what we'll call their projected A lineup. They'll be led off in right field with Brandon Nimmo. Batting second in center field, Wyatt Langford. Batting third at shortstop, Corey Seager. Batting fourth over at first base, Jake Berger. Batting fifth at second base, Josh Smith. In the 6th spot, third baseman, Josh Young. In the 7th spot, this is where you're going to see some rotation depending on, I think you'll see both of these guys twice in the series potentially, depending on their play, if they want to do a strict platoon. Because I think in this series it's going to be 2 righties and 2 lefties. But it's going to be either Jock Peterson or Andrew McCutchen, the longtime Pittsburgh Pirate, in the DH spot. Batting 8th in left field, Evan Carter. And batting 9th, the catcher, Danny Jansen. And we may see former A, Willie McIver, who is currently the Rangers' backup catcher. Now, let's get an idea of when we can check out this A's-Rangers series and some pitching matchups as well. So tonight, 6:40 p.m. Pacific time, Nathan Eovaldi will be going up against Luis Severino. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night in West Sacramento, also a 6:40 p.m. Pacific time start. Mackenzie Gore will be going up against Jeffrey Springs. Should be a solid lefty pitcher's duel there. Game 3 Wednesday, also 6:40 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. Kumar Rocker will be going up against JT Ginn. And then Thursday, the rubber match of this 4-game set will be a day game, 12:05 p.m. Pacific time. Jack Leiter will be getting the ball going up against Jacob Lopez. All right, let's get to know the Rangers pitchers that this A's lineup will be going up against a little bit more. So first, they're going to go up against Nathan Eovaldi. On the year so far, it's been a bit of a struggle. Through 3 starts, he's pitched into a 1-2 record with a 7.98 ERA. In 14 2/3 innings pitched, he's allowed 5 walks, 19 strikeouts, and pitched to a 1.84 whip. In his last start, he is coming off his best start of 2026 against the Seattle Mariners, pitching 6 innings, allowing 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 7 Ks. On the year thus far, he's averaged 94.5 miles an hour on his fastball, and he works with a 6-pitch mix: a splitter, cutter, fastball, curveball, sinker, and slider. He has still been generating a high volume of chase and whiff. His 35.7 chase percentage is in the 85th percentile of all qualified pitchers in baseball, and his 36.3 whiff percentage is in the 92nd percentile, and this is according to Baseball Savant. So the swing and miss stuff is there, but when he's not missing barrels, he's been giving up lots of hard, loud contact with the 92.2 average exit velocity, which is in the 14th percentile, to go along with a 48.9 hard hit percentage, ranking in the 19th percentile. So that is a poor formula for the slow start, but we'll see if Eovaldi is going to build off of his last solid quality start against the Mariners, or if he is going to fall trap to the friendly confines of Sutter Health Park and continue to fall susceptible to the home run ball. Entering his 15th Major League season at age 36, Eovaldi has dealt with recent injuries, including a rotator cuff strain in August of 2025 and October 2025 undergoing hernia surgery. He reported no limitations going into 2026 spring training, but it does still feel like he is trying to find his feet in this new season. Perhaps he did with his last start and will continue it on tonight and throughout the season. For the A's sake, I hope not. We'll see how it all shakes out. He was highly effective in 2025, however. He posted a 1.73 ERA over 130 innings with strong underlying numbers, a 3.02 expected ERA. Eovaldi has transitioned from just a high-velocity thrower to a pitcher who trusts a deeper arsenal of secondary pitches. He focuses on not needing perfect location to succeed and often induces crucial double plays. The Rangers rely on him heavily. They won 62% of his games over the last 3 seasons. The 2026 season carries risk regarding whether his body can withstand a full starter's workload given the multiple 2025 injury issues. He's off to a tough start in 2026, but don't be surprised if you see him twirling the pill tonight in Center Health Park and still generating a lot of that high whiff. Don't let that 7.98 ERA fool you. I think the A's are going to have an opportunity to jump him for some power potential if they get him into some more hitter-friendly counts, but where Eovaldi is dangerous is when he's working at a pretty quick rhythm and getting ahead of hitters. He makes starts fly by so quickly when he's going well that you look back and wonder what went wrong. So if you can lay off some of those secondary pitches that have continued to develop for Eovaldi, and you could sit on that elevated fastball and play to the confines of your home ballpark, it could be a good night in store for the A's offense. Now, let's transition to the Rangers Game 2 starter, who the A's are going to see tomorrow night in Mackenzie Gore. Star this, I think this is going to be the toughest customer for the A's to go up against in this series. On the year thus far, Gore has made 3 starts, pitching to a 2-0 record with a 2.76 ERA. In 16 1/3 innings pitched, he's allowed 5 walks, 25 strikeouts, and pitching to a .86 whip. In his last start, he also got the win against Seattle. He went 5 innings, only allowed 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, and 9 Ks. This year thus far, he's averaged 95.6 miles an hour on his fastball, and he also works with a 6-pitch mix: a fastball, curveball, changeup, cutter, slider, and sinker. His 39.7 K percentage ranks in the 97th percentile of all baseball, and he has an elite 32.5 whiff percentage, which is in the 82nd percentile of all qualified pitchers. His 84th percentile of extension really enables his repertoire of all of his pitches to really get on the hitter. So it really feels like he's reaching out and placing the ball in the zone, making his heavy fastball and his secondary pitches break seem even that sharper and really get on the hitters a lot quicker than it actually is. So that's really affected. I feel like Gore continues to make these adjustments as he continues to inch closer and closer to that ace, consistent ace at least, that the Nats had envisioned for all those years. His high strikeout, low walk early, 25-5 ratio is solid. After being acquired from Washington, he has been recognized as an early 2026 AL Cy Young Award contender, showcasing elite strikeout ability, a low whip, and high-level athleticism. Gore consistently sits 95 miles an hour and touches 98 with his fastball. His arsenal includes a gyro ball slider, mid to high 80s, and a downer curveball in the low 80s. Really tough to sit on one pitch against this guy. He's very unique in how he goes about his business. In early 2026, he has demonstrated elite form, pitching at an all-star level and becoming a critical part of the Rangers' rotation along DeGrom and Eovaldi. He maintains a high-effort, high-kick delivery, providing significant extension, which gives his fastball high perceived velocity and life at the top of the zone. He has refined his arsenal with his slider, curveball, changeup, and a newly added cutter, all increasing the whiff rate across the board above 35% in 2025. Evaluators consider him a number 1 pitcher in the making who has transitioned from a high upside prospect to a reliable ace. Gore's 2026 performance is defined by his ability to mix 4 distinct high-quality pitches, reducing his previous reliance solely on the fastball and correcting prior mechanical inconsistencies. Game 3 starter, right-handed pitcher Kumar Rocker On the year thus far, he has been improved since his first showings in Major League Baseball. He's made 2 starts, pitching to an 0-1 record with a 4.50 ERA. In 10 innings pitched, he's allowed 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. In his last start, got the no decision against the Dodgers in LA. He went 5 innings, allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 homers, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. Thus far, he's averaged 95.5 miles an hour on his fastball, and he works with a 5-pitch mix: a slider, sinker, changeup, fastball, and cutter. He comes right at hitters. His 6.8 walk percentage displays that, which is in the 72nd percentile, and his 48.5 ground ball percentage could play at Sutter Health Park if he avoids hitter-friendly zones. Rocker's arsenal features a high 90s fastball, often 96-97, and he can touch 100, and a high 80s cutter alongside his primary weapon, a 70-grade power slider. The focus is transitioning from a thrower to a pitcher, specifically developing a changeup to keep hitters off his fastball and slider. He is viewed as a high-risk, high-reward arm with the potential to fit somewhere in this rotation. Early 2026 reports suggest he is a starter candidate for the Rangers. It seems like he is getting an early audition to see if he can last in this rotation over the course of 162. Time will tell. The early signs do show that his improved command will help him stay for the time being. At 6'5" and 245 pounds, he is physically built for durability, but has a history of low inning counts. He showcased his slider, generating significant whiffs and holding a 50% called strike plus whiff rate at his best. Currently working on increasing reliability in his changeup, throwing it with more confidence, and hopefully allowing him to work deeper into games, perhaps a third and perhaps even a fourth time through an order, God forbid. And the Game 4 starter will be Jack Leiter, who has actually had some success against the A's early in his career. In his 2026 campaign thus far, he's made 3 starts, pitching to a 1-1 record with a 4.91 ERA. In 14 2/3 innings pitched, he's allowed 6 walks, 21 Ks, and pitching to a 1.36 whip. In his last start, they lost 6-3 to the Dodgers. He lasted just 3 2/3 innings pitched, allowing 5 hits, 5 runs, 2 homers, 4 walks, 4 Ks. His fastball has averaged 97 miles an hour this year thus far, which is in the 85th percentile. He works with a 6-pitch mix: a fastball, changeup, slider, curveball, cutter, and sinker. His 37.3 whiff percentage ranks in the 94th percentile, and his 33.3 K percentage ranks in the 87th percentile. But so certainly has the swing and miss strikeout stuff working early. Leiter features a mid-90s four-seam fastball with high spin and a dominant slider that generated a 60% whiff rate early in the season. He added a cutter to his arsenal, inspired by Garrett Crochet, which has helped him cut down walks and increase efficiency. After struggling with a 13.4 walk percentage rate in his early pro career, Leiter has shown significantly better control in his 2026 starts, reducing his walks per 9 innings to around 3.7 late in 2025 and even fewer in early 2026. After a challenging 2024 debut and development time, he improved through the 2025 season before delivering high-end strikeout numbers in the first few weeks of this season. He is viewed as a high-end starter with projections of 9 to 10 wins and a 3.71 ERA, serving as a reliable arm in the Rangers' rotation. Leiter has transitioned from a risky prospect with control issues to a reliable high swing and miss pitcher in his 3rd Major League season. So we will see how the A's offense fares in this 4-game set against this Rangers pitching staff that has pitched it rather well for the last couple of years now as a collective and are continuing that theme forward this year. In their history, here's how some of the A's hitters have fared against these Rangers starters. So against Eovaldi, Shea Langoliers is 4 for 12 lifetime with a home run and 2 doubles, and Tyler Soderstrom is 2 for 6 with 2 doubles. Against Mackenzie Gore lifetime, Jeff McNeil, if you're putting in a chip for him to get a hit in this one, perhaps you should star this one. As McNeil lifetime against Gore is 8 for 14, which is good for a .667 batting average. Dal Hernandez is 3 for 4 lifetime with a home run. Shea Langoliers 2 for 5 with a homer. Nick Kurtz 2 for 3 with a double all lifetime. Now that was before Gore has made these changes to improve his overall quality performance, but perhaps sometimes seeing a familiar face could still bring out the best and feel a level of comfort being in that box even though it is, in my opinion, the hardest thing to do in all sports to hit a baseball coming at that level of speed, and you have such milliseconds to be able to make a decision to swing or not. So much that goes into it. Sometimes it becomes just a little bit easier when you've had some success against someone in the past. Seeing them again just gives you that extra boost of confidence to perhaps push you over the edge of getting the job done. In their lifetime against Kumar Rocker, Lawrence Butler is 2 for 5 lifetime with a homer. Jacob Wilson 3 for 3. Shea Langoliers 2 for 3, and Tyler Soderstrom 2 for 3 with a double. And against Jack Leiter, Tyler Soderstrom is 3 for 10 lifetime with a home run. Nick Kurtz is 2 for 3 with a double and a home run, and Shea Langoliers 2 for 8 with a home run himself. Dating back to last year, these two teams went up against each other 13 times, and the Rangers hold the 8-5 advantage. In fact, the A's are currently on a 6-game losing streak against the Texas Rangers and are looking to end that skid tonight, riding in on a personal 5-game winning streak heading into this one and looking to be the sole team atop the AL West by the time this series is over and done with. We're going to make some predictions now. We are going to predict that Shea Langoliers is going to hit at least one home run in this 4-game series. I know he typically loves to hit home runs down in Globe Life Park down in Texas, but nevertheless, when he sees that Rangers uniform that was his hometown team, seems to bring out the best in him. I think with the lifetime numbers that Langoliers has against these starters, homering against most of them, I think one is in store. It's been long enough. I know he's got 5 already, but looking forward to seeing him to add on to his total even more. And as for our series prediction, we went back and forth on this a little bit. We think this is going to be a highly contested, all 4 games we feel are going to be rather tight for the majority of these games. But nevertheless, we are going to predict that the A's are going to take 3 out of 4 in this one. They are going to enjoy the friendly confines of Sutter Health Park. After the impressive performance on the road, I feel like they're going to keep that high momentum rolling into this one. To be honest, I just think right now with how these two teams stack up as a collective, I think the A's are the better team. While I think the Rangers might have a slight advantage on the pitching side of things, especially how their bullpen has been throwing it, look at how the A's bullpen has been competing. Look how their starters as a whole have been competing. I think the Rangers have an advantage there, but not as much of a gap as it was last year. I think the Rangers were miles ahead of how the A's were performing on the mound. I think that gap has shrunken considerably this year, and I think the A's have the advantage offensively. Both of these teams have been fielding it rather well. So with all that in mind, I think it's going to be a very decisive series. I think all these games are going to be decided by 3 runs or less, but we believe that they are going to win tonight 5-4 before dropping a tight one tomorrow 4-3, coming back and winning 7-4 before winning Thursday's rubber match, a day game. We do believe that it's going to be 6-5 A's, and we're going to call another prediction that they are going to walk it off on Thursday afternoon to complete the 3 out of 4 game series victory. That would be some exciting stuff. Hope you're able to catch as much of it as possible. I know we are looking forward to seeing this AL West showdown. And with that, that brings us to the close of another episode of A's Day. We appreciate you stopping by to kick off your week with us. Appreciate all of your support. On today's show, we recapped what went down against the New York Mets as they swept the Mets over the weekend in a 3-game series, concluding a 5-1 road trip, and they are now back home in the friendly confines of Sutter Health Park to kick off an elongated homestand, starting tonight with a 4-game set against the Texas Rangers, 6:40 p.m. Pacific Time first pitch. Nathan Eovaldi going for the Rangers. Happy Sevy Day. Luis Severino going for the A's, looking to keep the good times rolling. We previewed that 4-game series as well. We made our predictions. We discussed the new home run celebration of 2026. So now, don't miss it, especially if you are heading to Sutter Health Park. You'll be able to see the boys celebrating after some homers. And we gave some updates on Brent Rooker heading to the injured list. Best wishes to Rook. Hopefully he gets well soon, and we see him back in the starting lineup sooner rather than later. We'll be back behind the mic for Friday's show as we will recap what went down in this 4-game Rangers series before it's time to flip the script on another series, a weekend set with the Chicago White Sox coming to West Sacramento for the weekend. That's all we have for you today. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. Appreciate you stopping by, and hearing our thoughts on athletics baseball. Let's keep the good times rolling. They're winners of 5 in a row, and let's see if they can keep it going against the Texas Rangers. Until next time, Holy Toledo, let's go A's.